What's going on, legend? It's your boy Angus here. I hope you're having an amazing week so far, whatever you're up to or whatever stage of the week it is with you currently tuning into this video. Really pumped today to be teaching you about the whole aspect of recovery mastery and basically understanding what the 6 key health biomarkers are. And I find that what will make or break someone's ability to lose body fat and to basically have epic aesthetics is, well, them knowing how to become a fucking beast, a Yoda, an absolute champion at developing kick-ass health, because those who have amazing health are the ones who are much more better set up to be able to get streamlined results and have a much more greater time in terms of their time in the alpha space and just getting a lot more consistency with their actual progress versus people whose health is in the hole or not consistent and they just kind of don't really give a shit about it, right? So we're going to be using an example here with good old Thanos and his Infinity Gauntlet. I've taken some time to draw up a Infinity Gauntlet and we're going to be using the iPad for me to be able to demonstrate and touch in terms of what each of the actual Infinity Stones actually mean in the scenario of the health biomarkers, given that there is 6 key ones that you need to be dialing in on. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be whooping up on my iPad. I've got my pen here, and let me show you what I've actually put together for you guys to help you understand these 6 health biomarkers. So we'll start first and foremost with, actually, well, before we get into it, here you can see, yay, the Infinity Gauntlet. And if you don't know what this is, well then, like, who the fuck even are you? Like, you've been living under a rock. You need to go and watch some of the Avengers movies, specifically Infinity War and Endgame. But we're going to start off here first with the main stone. Right, I forget the actual name of it, but there's 6 main stones. But this one here, basically, right, is essentially what we're going to refer to in this case as, let's see, there we go, beautiful. This one here is going to be known as sleep, right? So without you being consistent with sleep, what you need to understand is that your body is then, as a result of that, in a stressed state. And if your body is in a stressed state, well then what's going to happen here is it's going to be in fight or flight mode, essentially. And then what I mean by that is that, like, if you think about kind of like way back into old school caveman times, right? Our body obviously legitimately needs to be on point with knowing what's going on because there's perceived threats that can be around all the time, right? So essentially, well, fast forward to now in the 21st century, well, we're fine, right? Like, we're not like Bear Grylls. We're not going to be in different parts of the Amazon jungle or the Himalayan, forests or mountains or deserts or whatever, right? Like, we're fine, but our bodies don't know that. So this is why we've got certain mechanisms in place. And basically, if we are sleep deprived, your body will actually think that it's in an emergency situation. And therefore, when this is happening, right, your body will basically fuck around with your hormone levels. It will increase cortisol and reduce testosterone and growth hormone and a few other hormones that we actually want to be on point. And it will shut off the potential of fat loss if you are consistently too sleep deprived. Meaning that, like, when people stress out about their ratios of like carbs and fat and their meal time and all these little minute things, right, that all obviously do matter to an extent, but yet they're just sleep deprived, right? Like, it's as if they're missing a huge chunk of the actual overall health biomarker puzzle, and they're literally going to shut themselves off from fat loss potential. So you're going to be learning more about sleep in different content videos, but for the sake of touching on it loosely within this one, you're going to need anywhere between 5 minimum non-negotiable hours every single night. Ideally, well, in terms of across the span of an entire week, ideally 50 hours plus, and ideally more than that if you're very active, i.e. you have a demanding job and you lift, let's say 5 times a week. It's just an example for me because I lift basically almost every single day and some days twice a day. If I am, well, deprived of sleep, it shows massively in terms of my energy, my performance, and my ability to recover and to be able to actually lift any sort of decent weight. And yeah, basically, like, no chance at losing fat, as you can imagine, if that was the goal at the time. Now at the time of filming this video, the goal is maintenance and stuff, so I can get away with it to an extent. But still, for you listening, you don't understand that you must be getting in ideally 5 to 8 or 9 hours every night. More sleep the better, because you're just going to notice it in terms of, well, it working wonders in your actual system. Alright, now our next infinity stone we're going to be looking at here is, here we go, Zinger. This next one is steps. Alright, now obviously depending on how, let's see here, steps. So steps refers to or comes under the whole aspect that is movement, right? Movement, movement / NEAT, right? Your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which helps to form your metabolism, right? So if you're someone who isn't getting in much steps and you suck shit at cardiovascular components, right? Well, then what's going to happen is this is going to affect a whole range of things in regard to your organ health, in regard to your body's ability to pump blood through and around your system, and basically will just the health and vitality of your heart essentially will start to suffer. So you're going to be learning in different content videos the difference between, say for example, like the stress and the adaptation and the load that occurs when you're actually doing weight training, as opposed to what happens in the body when we're doing steps and stuff. But a lot of us, like, we just sit so much, right? We sit in terms of like the vast majority of our day is spent sitting, right? So if you can imagine, if we're just sitting all the time, right, it means that we have shit posture, and it means that we've got basically as a result of that, right, we've got various things that are out of alignment. And if this happens, right, well then it's just like, it's going to make your body's job harder to be able to perform and to function, to move around, compared to how it would be able to do so if you were someone who was moving around more. And we're getting in steps every single day. So if you make it like a rule of thumb, or kind of like part of your identity, if you will, you get 10,000 steps in every day, 10,000 steps in every day, like it's just going to become part of your day-to-day, and you will notice the difference that this makes in terms of just, well, how you feel on a day-to-day basis. But also this is going to mean in terms of a pro sort of scenario, right, you're going to have extra energy burn, right? Which means that if you're, say for example, someone that's doing a decent amount of NEAT, so 10,000 steps a day versus someone that's not, right, you will also have extra calories in like comparison to them as well, in terms of, well, comparing the two. All right, this one here, this one is an interesting one that a lot of us won't be on point with because we can get lazy, right? And essentially what that is, let's see, we'll put this back to black again. This one here is stretching, or what we can put under as is mobility, right? So for the average person, right, they can't touch their toes, like legit, right? Which is bullshit, because it's like, well, if we look back to how humans used to be a couple of decades back, a few decades back, we were way more active, we weren't sitting as much, we would have standing jobs, we'd be moving about, like, but the average person in today's day and age, we wake up, we sit down, we have breakfast, we then drive to work, or we get on public transport and we sit either way as we go to work, and then while we're at work we sit down at a desk, and then when we come home, same deal in terms of transport to get back home, and then we sit down and have a feed, and sit down and chill and watch some TV before we go to bed and we lie down, right? So as you can see, if that's happening, right, well then no wonder why for a lot of us we've got lower back pain, or why we can't even touch our toes, or why we've got neck pain and this sort of shit. It's because, well, yeah, like we're causing a lot of stress to our body here because our mobility is so shit. And one of the biggest things you could be doing to be able to improve upon this is actually getting in more day-to-day stretching. And what that can look like for you is probably about, let's say, 10 to 15 minutes a day. That would be a great place to start, like nice full body based shit. If you're keen for some examples, check out the training section of the Alpha site, scroll to the bottom and you'll see a few different stretching videos there. Or you can just be hitting up Dr. YouTube, right? Dr. YouTube, to be able to find some basic full body stretching, actual examples that you can follow along with. or even if you don't want something like that, you want something specific, like it might be lower back or neck or just shoulders or whatever, like be proactive with it, because yes, it's boring, but there's no reason why you can't do it while you're actually watching a movie or, you know, something like that. See what I mean? Because it's a means of like, well, if your body is holding on to all that tension, well then what's going to come with that gradually, if you haven't sorted it out, is stored toxins and yeah, just damage to the quality of your bloodstream and how well your body can actually get energy into the cells, and therefore, well, yeah, the ripple effect of how that goes with your muscles being able to have the energy and the stuff that they need to be able to perform and to repair from the load that we put onto them on the day to day. Now, next up, right, is in terms of the next infinity stone, is how well you actually manage stress, right? And for a lot of us, right, we are stressed as fuck, meaning that we've got heaps of shit on at work, right? So whether it's just the fact that you've been consistently getting called in, or you know, like the work is understaffed, or your boss is a fucking dickhead or a bitch, or you know, whatever, and you've got long hours and shit just seems to be going wrong, and then you've got stuff that's happening with your partner, or you might be a parent and therefore your kids are being little fucking satans and you know, not listening and whatever, and just like you always seem to have a million things kind of pulling your, you know, yeah, pulling yourself basically. And then what happens here is that because we are usually pretty good at giving a lot of ourselves to others, we fail to look after number one, which is ourselves. And if you think about when you fly in a plane or whatever, right, well, in case of emergency, well, what happens is that they say that you've got to look after yourself first and put your own air mask on, right, before you go and put it onto a child or anyone else, as opposed to the other way around. I mean, that if you aren't looking after yourself, and if you're not topping up your own jug, right, well then what happens is that because you're consistently pouring water out to others, these water levels gradually drop to the point that you are dry. And then when this happens, this is where we experience what we call as burnout. And if you're someone who is experiencing burnout and you're not doing the right relevant things to be able to be while managing stress, well, you will not give your body any reason to be able to let go of fat, and you'll find it so hard to be able to stick to anything that you find me telling you to do. And you probably hate me as well because I'll be in your inbox going, you know, hey, how you doing? What's going on? How's your day going? How you going with this? And you'll perceive it as if I'm having a go at you or whatever, right? So there's various other content videos that you're going to be working through where I take you through more depth in terms of just what happens when we're not managing stress and what you can be doing to actually manage it. So keep an eye out for that, all right? Now, the next infinity stone we're going to put over here is, let's do it that color. There we go. This actually is the right colors, believe it or not. I'm just trying to make sure that I pick the right one. There we go. Ta-da! Whoops. There we go. So this next one is the importance of micros, right? Now, for a lot of us, or say for example for you, before you started the journey with me, guaranteed that you would have been someone who sucks shit at getting in enough micros. Now, micronutrients are obviously the phytonutrients, the micronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals that are found in plants, right? In root vegetables, legumes, and the sort of stuff that we typically classify as #clean, right? But for a lot of us, well, we typically opt for, well, what is more pleasurable than what is more healthy. And this is why we develop relationship with foods where we just consistently crave hyperpalatable foods. And over time, as there are a lot of people become binge eaters because they're so deficient in micros, and they just see food as good and bad and just literally don't have a decent wraps around food at all in any capacity, right? So in essence, when it comes for a lot of us, you just need to make sure, like as a rule of thumb, that as chicks, right, you know, ideally have 400 to 600 grams of plants going into our systems daily. And then as guys, we need to have 600 grams to 1 kg. This is a good rule of thumb. If you can just make that part of your day to day in terms of non-negotiable, just getting in that amount of plants, across the span of the day, well, you will notice huge difference in terms of how you feel. Your body is going to have so much bioavailable, amazing nutrients to be able to transport through your body to the cells, all that sort of stuff, and it will make huge difference in terms of your ability to focus, in terms of your ability to perform, and naturally, well, in sync with these other ones as well, setting you up to be able to have any chance at actually achieving fat loss, right? And last but not least, we have over here, in terms of the last actual infinity stone, we have, let's put it into there. Whoops, shit, doesn't like that. Let's do here. There we go. So this last infinity stone, you can probably guess if you have been cluing into other content videos so far. This next one is H2O, so in other words, hydration, right? And when it comes to hydration, for a lot of us, yeah, we go, oh yeah, drink enough water, and you probably heard me say that I want you to use waterlogged and whatever, and we are diligent with it at the start, but for a lot of us, we can get lazy with it, and it's like, well, if your body isn't getting in sufficient hydration, right, well then it's not going to be able to do its job properly in terms of transporting nutrients from your bloodstream into cells, bloodstream, into your cells, and therefore into muscles and organs, right? Meaning that what happens then is that if there's not much water in your system, well then what happens is that basically your kidneys, right, and liver get recruited to be able to try and help, and therefore when that's happening, it's just going to mean that their actual role in terms of what they're supposed to do gets sabotaged, and you experience that through having shitty yellow pee and too much of that, well, headaches and all this sort of shit. And if it continues on in sync with you not managing these other things, welcome to why a lot of people just feel lethargic. You know, we've got things like feeling bloated, having that sense of like burning or whatever in your stomach, you know, headaches and that sort of thing. And these are all minor things, but over time what happens is that if we're not on point with these infinity stones, right, essentially what happens is that you're just going to gradually start burning your body into the ground. And this is where for a lot of people they can actually start to develop lifestyle related diseases, right? Even though you may be decently-ish healthy, right? This is actually how, if someone, say for example, develops things like cancer, right, or has heart attacks and stuff, right, if you look at how well they manage their biomarkers, right, guaranteed that they would have sucked shit in terms of, well, maybe one or two or even all of these actual infinity stones. So as you can see here, it's kind of like this shit matters. Like obviously old mate Thanos, when it came to him, right, wanting to be able to take over the world and fulfill his vision of being able to just, you know, snap his fingers after collecting all the stones and wiping out half of humanity, right? Like he was balls deep committed in terms of going after these stones. We need to be balls deep committed in terms of ensuring that we have these stones, these health biomarkers on point, to be able to ensure that all of your calories and macros and your training efforts and stuff will matter, right? Because it's kind of like the scenario is that if you can imagine a umbrella, right, umbrella, and let's say that this umbrella, right, oops, fucker, let's say this umbrella, right, umbrella, let's say this umbrella represents the health biomarkers, right. Your umbrella represents your health biomarkers, right? Everything else that we get you to do as part of the alpha journey, right, is essentially this part, like the stick that you hold on to, right? Everything comes under that, right? Some calories, macros, training, all these sort of things that we think are the main crux, right? They will mean pretty much nothing if you don't have this umbrella on point. Meaning if you think about it, if it's raining, right, and oh mate, rain is coming down. Hey, rain, 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 rain. Because you have your health biomarkers on point, or mate, you under here, right, is going to be right as rain, because you're protected by the fact that your health biomarkers are so on point, and your body's going to be able to be fine and looked after. Whereas if we take this sucker away, right, and whoops, there we go. Whereas if we take this sucker away, right, and your umbrella isn't there, and you know you're essentially being slack or whatever, if this water comes down, aka the stresses of life, they're going to hit you head on, right? And what's going to happen is that you will suck shit, you won't be able to lose fat, and this is really where a lot of people end up. Just from my almost 10 years of coaching men and women in the actual coaching game, well, this is unfortunately what then leads to them thinking that they're a lost cause. On a very, very rare odd occasion, someone actually quitting and, well, bailing, thinking that I've let them down or whatever, where it's just like, well, no bro, you just haven't actually been dominating in these areas, right? So it's important that when it comes to these things, if I were you, I'd be checking in on how you're doing in relation to these biomarkers every single week. When it comes to you doing your progress stats, reflect on where you're at in relation to your steps and how you've gone in terms of a day today. Have you cleared at least 70,000 for the week? Have you been doing 10 to 15 minutes of daily stretching? Have you been smashing it in terms of doing, you know, some sort of stress management thing every single day, blocking out time for yourself to be able to keep stress levels under, you know, just under wraps? You know, are you getting in enough plants in a day today? How can you be getting in more? How can you have variety in that so that you keep, you know, the love for plants going strong like you see me? Are you getting in enough H2O? Are you starting your day with water? Are you finishing your day with water? Are you getting in some water before each meal? Are you getting in some water, you know, around workout time? Like, is that being hit all the time? And then sleep, the big ass fucking main one here. You know, are you getting in those 5 to 9 hours every single night? So I really hope you enjoyed this spin on things in terms of the health biomarkers and being someone who is an absolute boss at recovery. Now, as per usual, make sure that you stop and reflect on what you've just learnt, and head to the Alpha group. Go there. We pop a post. I'm really keen to hear and see basically what you took out in terms of most valuable learnings from this video. And if you have any questions around what you can be doing to be able to improve any of these actual biomarkers, please let us know. It's what I'm here for. Because, well, hey, part of what makes me healthy as fuck and just loving the game and looking and feeling amazing is because obviously I'm all over it when it comes to these health biomarkers. And, well, everything I teach you is for a reason. So share those learnings in the group. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day. And I'll see you in next week's content video. Peace.